It started on a quiet Tuesday night. I was sitting on my bed, scrolling through my phone. The window slightly open because the room felt a little stuffy. I lived alone in a small first-floor apartment at the edge of town, nothing fancy, but quiet enough that nothing unusual ever happened. At least, that's what I believed. Around 1:50 a.m., I heard the bushes outside my window rustle. It wasn't loud, but it was odd enough to make me look up. At first, I thought it was a stray cat or maybe the wind. But then, I saw a tall shadow standing just beyond the tree line. Still, completely still, facing my window. I froze. My room light was off, only the dim glow of my phone lighting my face. I quickly locked the screen, sat still, and squinted into the darkness. The shape didn't move, not an inch. It was like someone was just watching. I pulled the curtain slightly with my finger, just enough to hide myself. After nearly a minute of staring, I convinced myself it was probably just a trash bin or a tree stump playing tricks on me. I closed the window, locked it, and went to sleep, telling myself not to overthink it. The next night, around the same time, 1:50 a.m., I heard it again. The soft crunch of leaves. This time, I didn't move to the window. I just sat on my bed and listened, my heart pounding. After a few seconds, curiosity pushed me to look. I lifted the curtain just a bit. The shadow was closer. I could make out shoulders, a head, the silhouette of a man. He wasn't walking, wasn't pacing, wasn't doing anything except standing there, facing my window like he was waiting for something. I shut the curtain and backed away. I barely slept that night. By the third night, I decided to leave the light on. Maybe it would scare him off. But at exactly 1:50 a.m., I heard the same sound, footsteps this time. Slow, purposeful, like someone dragging their feet through the grass. I didn't want to look. I really didn't. But my curiosity got the better of me. I peeked through the curtain. He was so close now I could see the outline of his jacket and the shape of his hands hanging unnaturally low. His head was tilted slightly, like he was listening for something inside my room. I snapped the curtain shut and grabbed my phone to call the police. But when I looked at the screen, I realized my hands were shaking too much to type the number properly. I waited, holding my breath, listening. The footsteps didn't leave. They stayed, like he was right outside. After what felt like an hour, though it was probably only minutes, the sound stopped. Silence. I kept the lights on the entire night. The next morning, I walked outside to check. In the grass, right under my window, were footprints. Huge, deep ones. They weren't there the day before. I didn't go outside that night. I didn't even open the curtains. I sat in my bed with the lights on, holding my phone and waiting for the sound. At 1:50 a.m., without fail, it came. This time, there were no soft steps, no rustling, just breathing. Slow, heavy breathing, right outside my window. It was so close I could hear the faint whistle when he inhaled. I couldn't move. The room felt like it was shrinking around me. After about 10 seconds, there was a soft tap on the glass. I almost screamed. I didn't look. I couldn't. I just sat frozen, staring at the opposite wall while my heart thrashed in my chest. The tapping came again, 3 slow, deliberate taps. Then silence. I don't know how long I sat there before I finally gathered the courage to peek out the curtain. Just a tiny bit. He was gone. But on the glass, right where he tapped, were 3 smudged fingerprints. Large fingerprints, like he had pressed his hand onto the window and dragged it slowly downward. The next morning, I packed my bags. I didn't even wait for the lease to end. I left everything, furniture, clothes, dishes, all of it. I just grabbed what I could fit in a suitcase and left town. 2 months later, I drove back through the area to visit a friend. Out of curiosity, I passed by my old apartment. Someone else lived there now. Their curtains were open, and beneath the window, in the same spot where I used to see him, someone was standing in the bushes, watching, waiting, like he never even noticed I was gone.
It started on a cold Wednesday evening. I had just moved into a new neighborhood, quiet, clean, and honestly, peaceful. I loved my new routine. At night, I'd make a cup of tea, sit near the big living room window, and just scroll through my phone, unwinding from the day. From that spot, I had a perfect view of the street, especially the dim street light that would flicker every few minutes. Around 11:30 p.m., I noticed him. A man standing directly under that flickering light. My first thought was nothing. People walk their dogs late, take a night stroll. Maybe they're waiting for someone. It's a city, after all. But this man wasn't walking. He wasn't on his phone. He wasn't doing anything. He was just standing there, perfectly still. And he was facing my house. I squinted, trying to get a better look, but the unsteady light made it difficult. All I could really make out was his tall frame and what looked like dark clothes. He didn't move an inch. After a couple of minutes, I just figured it was weird, but nothing to worry about. I shrugged it off, closed the curtains, and went to bed. The next night, it happened again. At the exact same time, 11:30 p.m. on the dot, he was there, standing in the same spot, under the same flickering light. Same posture, same eerie stillness. But this time, something was different. I could tell, even from a distance, he was facing my window directly. Not the street in general. Not the houses around mine. Just my window. Just me. I watched him for a full minute, my tea getting cold in my hands. He didn't shift his weight. He didn't turn his head. He didn't even seem to breathe. He was just present. A silent observer. I closed the curtains a lot faster that night. I told myself it was probably just a neighbor. Maybe someone who likes to get some air before bed. But his stillness, that unnatural lack of movement, it was deeply unsettling. On the third night, I decided I wasn't imagining things. This was a pattern, and I needed to know if he'd show up again. So, around 11:15, I went into the living room, but this time, I turned off all the lights. I sat quietly at the window, hidden behind the edge of the curtain, peering out into the darkness. At exactly 11:30 p.m., right on schedule, the flickering streetlight illuminated his silhouette. But my stomach dropped. He was closer. He wasn't under the streetlight anymore. He was standing on the opposite side of the street, directly across from my house. I could see more details now. He was medium height, wearing a dark jacket, and had his hands stuffed in his pockets. His head was tilted slightly upward, in a way that made it seem like he knew exactly where I was sitting, even in the complete darkness of my home. My heart started racing. I held my breath, refusing to move a muscle. He didn't step forward or backward. He just stood there and stared. It felt like an eternity, but after about 15 minutes, he slowly turned around and walked down the street until he disappeared into the shadows. I didn't sleep at all that night. Over the next week, it got worse. The fear was a constant knot in my stomach. Every single night, he came a little closer. First, he was across the street. The next night, he was on the sidewalk on my side of the road. Then, he was at the very edge of my driveway. And each time, he stood in that same absolutely motionless way. One night, I noticed something that sent a fresh wave of ice through my veins. His head was always tilted, just slightly. Not like he was curious, but like he was listening for me. By the seventh night, I was a wreck. I was terrified, but I was also desperate. I needed proof. I needed someone to believe me. So, I kept my phone ready to record. At 11:30, I peeked out from behind the curtain. He was standing at the end of my driveway, closer than he had ever been before. My hand was shaking, but I lifted my phone, aimed the camera, and was about to press record, but as soon as I did, the streetlight above him flickered violently and went completely dark. For the first time in a week, I couldn't see him. The street was plunged into blackness. I slowly, carefully, reached for the small lamp on the end table beside me and turned it on. The moment warm light filled my living room. He stepped forward. Just one slow, deliberate step onto my driveway. I stumbled backward, dropping my phone with a clatter. My heart felt like it was trying to pound its way out of my throat. I scrambled away from the window and didn't dare look out again. I grabbed my phone, my voice shaking so badly I could barely speak, and called a friend. I begged them to just stay on the line with me. After about 10 minutes of terrified silence, I heard it. Slow, heavy footsteps walking away from my house. The next morning, the first thing I did was check the footage from the new security camera ID installed by the front door. What I saw made me feel sick. The timestamp showed 11:29 p.m., 1 minute before he usually arrived, but he was already there. Standing completely still, staring directly into the camera lens. Like he knew it was there. Like he knew I was watching. That day, I went to the police. I showed them the footage. They were sympathetic, but they said since he hadn't trespassed or tried to break in, there wasn't much they could do. They told me to stay vigilant, so I did. I slept with the lights on. I double-locked and triple-checked every door and window. I kept my phone and my car keys on the nightstand beside me. But then, the next night, he didn't show up. Not at 11:30, not at all. The night after that was the same. Silence. For 3 nights straight, nothing. A tiny bit of relief started to creep back in. I started to think maybe he was gone. Maybe it was over. But on the 4th night, I was wrong. Around 3 a.m., I was jolted awake by a soft sound. Quiet tapping. Repetitive, almost gentle. Tap, tap. It wasn't coming from a window or the front door. Half asleep, my mind still foggy. I turned my head, and my blood ran cold. He wasn't outside anymore. He was inside my house, standing in the hallway, motionless. His head was tilted toward my bedroom door. Just like he had been all those nights, waiting, listening. It was as if he had been standing there the whole time, just waiting for me to wake up.